just a little bit. What was your greatest takeaway as you know, working with, you know, Derek and then all the designers and looking over, and this is like, and do you pinch yourself at the work you do sometimes? Like
yes.
I like used to watch TV and go to plays, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm under the belly of it. Yeah.
Every day. It's never lost on me that I get to do this. I learned so much from designing Broadway. I didn't know much about set design. I knew Derek a little bit, and I said to him, I think that you deserve a book. And he said, no, I don't think that I'm worthy of a book, even though I thought he was.
Very humble man.
Very, very talented, and very modest. And he said, but I would be interested in writing about my work as long as we include my counterparts and other designers too. So my original idea was just to feature Derek's work, but it was really him who pulled the whole design community into the book, and it's better for it just because we get everybody's take on it, which is so nice.
And it's a thing that if people do love the theater, they never know that much about the designer unless they really go to theater all the time. And you read your playbill, which I do, but then you know you forget. But if you get a book like this, you got a page, you get the pictures, you get the conversation.
And the designer's point of view.
Yeah, you hear like what it took to do that, because I've been fortunate enough to interview a few designers over the years, and it's amazing, like the detail they go into and
how it relates to the play itself.
They do the play, you know, they go through the play ad nauseum to design a set, or even the posters, you know.
Well, designers are very smart. You kind of have to have the job,
right?
And super interesting
and super detailed,
And so when I started, I mean, I feel like I know a lot about set design now, but I didn't know much about it. I knew that you had a relationship with the set for about a half hour before the play ever started when you go to a theater, because you're there, most shows don't have curtains anymore, so you're looking at the set and you're taking it in and you're getting information about the play that you don't even realize you're getting. Never occurred to me before I wrote the book that part of the set designer's job is to figure out when a set comes off, you know, and a different set comes on, where they're going to store it in the theater. I didn't even think of that.
Elevation, circle, all this stuff. It's like
none
crazy.
Of that.
I
like, never thought about it.
Raining on the stage, and I don't know how it's you know. And then you get the set design, but you get the lighting and the
we also included
and all these people.
We included projection designers, lighting designers, costume designers, and they're all fascinating. Ethan Hawke wrote the foreword, and his story's in there.
Yeah, it's so great.
We have some actors, a lot of directors. It was so much fun to do.
That's so cool. So since we talked about this, and I don't want to run out of time because there's two more big things I want to talk about, what can you share about the book on the Tony Awards? I mean, we know you're going to be interviewing and sharing a lot of stories from probably every living Tony Award winner as much as possible.
Over 140 are included in the book. So I talked to just legend after legend after legend. Cheetah Rivera, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
She's like the nicest person in the world, Cheetah Rivera.
Oh my gosh, she's great.
Just like,
she's great. Yeah. You just want to talk all day.
And she had some life, man. The documentary, I've seen that of hers. And Lin must have been wonderful.
He was incredible. Yes, but so many people. I mean,
must have been pinching all those days.
Every day. Yeah.
Now you said those were done on Zoom. A lot of them. Right?
A lot of them were done on Zoom. Because that's just the way it is now.
And it's because then you can get them. I mean, they don't have to drive. You don't have to drive. You don't have to meet somewhere. You don't. So.
And it works equally well for my purposes. I used to, when I started out, I used to go and do every interview in person, and I could only do a few in a day, and now I could
do 8 or 9 of them.
Exactly,
probably,
and I did, because I didn't have a long time to write this, so that worked out.
And then you got to go back and write down everything,
Well, I record every interview,
and then script it. You got to craft it into the story.
Right, because they tell me a lot of information, and I have to create a story from it.
So you have to edit, and it's just it's amazing. It's so crazy.
And then make each person's story different, so that I'm not repeating sort of the same journey from person to person to make the book more interesting.
And include their personality because of what you heard. So. Well, see, it's a lot of crafting that you have to do, too. So
it's just like a big puzzle that I'm putting together.
Exactly. Now, I do want to get to something, and we just have about maybe 5 or 6 more minutes. But on top of all this, I don't know when you find time, but your friend, Frank, and you I would say it must have been during COVID because you started them in 2020. So you have known each other since theater camp.
Theater camp,
and
yeah.
he's like an amazing stand-up comic.
He is. He's great.
And
Frank Liotti.
Frank Liotti, yes. I said his name earlier. I was getting ready to say Liotti again. But he could sit down, stand up, lay down, and he'd still be funny. I can tell from when I listen to podcasts.
He's the funniest person I've
I don't
ever
know,
met.
just funny just comes out of him from the minute he opens
Yeah.
his mouth. So you guys have always talked about movies.
Always. That's how we bonded. We bonded as teenagers over Mommy Dearest, Rocky Horror, you know, this kind of thing, looking for Mr. Goodbar. I mean, these are the kind of kids we were, and we were so lucky to find each other.
Right.
And
And
yeah.
you've done that ever since then, and then, well, I guess one day you said, wait a minute, we can make a podcast out of this.
So he came to visit one day during the pandemic, and we were sitting and just, you know, having one of our usual discussions. We were talking about A Woman's Scorn, the Betty Broderick story. And I said, Frank, this is a podcast. Why are we not doing a podcast? And he said, okay. And that was it. And then it took us about a month to figure out what we were doing. We didn't, you know, we thought we could just use our phones and record. And so he had a friend, Tracy, who said, no, you
Let's
can't.
do it the real way.
Yeah, you have to get this kind of equipment. So I bought everything we needed, and that was it. And we have such very dedicated listeners from all over the world.
Well, I wanted to say, I, you know, kind of did my dive and listened to, first off, the one episode, and I'm not going to remember because I was listening to so many, but one of the letters was from somebody, I think it was Brenda, and she said how you guys kept her from being depressed. I mean, you just, you know, that, so you know that some people, it must be kind of, it's beyond rewarding for you and Frank to know that some people's lives are tremendously changed or just made the better because they have that time with you on the podcast, and they can put it on anytime they need it, and they can play the